Hi, and thank you for watching this video of a brief introduction into Faddom. Faddom is a hybrid application dependency mapping solution, meaning we map your server dependencies for your business applications. We also have several other features. Faddom is a server-based solution. It can be spun up either Windows, Linux, or cloud. And then we are platform agnostic, meaning we can connect to any of your data sources, whether that's on-prem VMware, Nutanix, whatever on-prem hypervisor or cloud provider you're using. Faddom does all of this agentlessly without requiring any agents installed in your environment. Faddom instead acts as a passive collector of your network statistics, your protocols like NetFlow, IPFix, and Cloudflow logs in the cloud. Once you've deployed Faddom and connected your data sources, you'll be here on the Faddom dashboard. There's a lot of information here. Basically, it's all the critical information for your entire environment displayed in one place. And this will all make a little more sense as we go through the demonstration. What you need to know now is that all of this is completely customizable. We can edit this dashboard. We also have other pre-made dashboards focusing on migration security. Of course, you can create new ones for new users as well. Back to the Faddom dashboard. So great, let's start here with one of the most powerful features in Faddom, and that's our search bar. Here we can search for anything. So we start typing, we can see we can search for servers or IP groups, application maps, subnets, or even individual users in our environment. But let's search for VLAN 3. Great, here's a map of everything associated with VLAN 3. This really is the fastest and easiest way to find any of your IT assets and map them. So let's zoom in and take a little look at this map. We can see that this map is fully hybrid. We have VMware VMs, we have Nutanix VMs, we even have some physical servers. We also have a legend down here at the bottom, so you can always see what these colors mean. Green is, these lines are the connections between the servers, and green is a active connection. And what's important is that this is not just a line, but an arrow, showing us the direction of the connection. And that is how Faddom is able to determine your server dependencies, knowing who initiated the connection. So green is active now in real time. Red is a failed connection. This could be a firewall blocking the connection. It could be that the target server is down. And gray is an inactive connection. This is a connection that we're used to seeing, we're just not seeing currently. You can click on any of these connections to get information about the connection, source, target, port, protocol, when it was last seen, and what is the frequency of this connection. So all of this too is viewable in a list view, and this is true with any Faddom map. You can see a list of the connections showing source, target, port, and IP, much like a firewall rules list, and servers as well, a list of servers participating in this application map, or in this particular VLAN 3 map. So this is wonderful visibility. All of this is also exportable. We can export via CSV, image, Visio. Any screen in Faddom is exportable. So we also have REST APIs that can integrate with just about any platform you're currently using. We can save this search as a map as well, which would mean that this map then becomes fully dynamic. So any changes, any new servers added, connections added in and out of VLAN 3 would be shown in real time on this map. So this is some wonderful visibility into our VLAN, but let's look at our application mapping. We want to actually map our individual applications. That is the core of Faddom. So we can come here and see some of our applications already. We have a folder structure with several different applications created. Let's create a new one. So there are 3 ways to create maps in Faddom. One we already covered with the search bar. Also, we can create maps based tags. We automatically detect tags in your hypervisor and cloud provider, and you can map based on that. You can also create maps in bulk based on tags. But let's look at traffic flow. Traffic flow is one of the most interesting ways to create a map and the most common. Basically, Faddom needs an entry point into your application. That would be wherever the client accesses the application. It could be a URL, it could be an IP and port, or even just a partial host name. Faddom can also give you a list of possible suggestions based on where we see clients connecting. But let's use an IP that I'm familiar with in this environment. Great, Faddom always gives suggestions when searching. ERP Virtual is the one we want. We now see we have an option for different ports that the clients are connecting on to map based on that. That can make a big difference if the entry point is a load balancer. We can also just pick all ports and give this a name. And then create map. Great, so here's the start of our map. We can see this is a slightly different view than what we've seen previously. This is what we call our tier view. This groups servers by type based on their port numbers that they're listening on. So we can see we have our ERP server and then one hop to the back end. We create maps layer by layer. So next layer is the next hop in the network, the next hop in dependencies. And here we can see some more. There's our ERP connections. We can keep building these layers out until we're comfortable with them. And so this is the map that we want to map of our application that we want to see. If at any point you are seeing connections or servers that don't belong in this map or part of this application flow, you can apply filters. We have global filters, we have AI suggested filters for things like domain controllers, and you can create any type of custom filters for connection, server, tag that you wanted. So once you have this map showing the application the way you would like it, you can click Save Map. And now this map is fully dynamic, meaning any changes, any servers added that would create connections in this application will be shown in real time. Any failed connections or connections removed will all be shown in real time, and you can receive notifications to make Faddom more proactive for you. So this is wonderful. We now have an unparalleled visibility into our applications. We have several applications mapped, but what are some of the specific things we can do with these application maps? Well, several. One, we can simulate uh, events in our environment. Let's say we want to take down Tomcat 2 for maintenance. Normally that might involve lots of checklists, emails back and forth with colleagues, or possibly the screen test of just unplugging the server and seeing who complains. With Faddom, all that can be avoided. All we need to do is right click on the server, click add to impact set, and over here on the left, we can see highlighted all of the applications that would be affected if Tomcat 2 was taken down, saving a lot of time and headache in understanding what would be affected when it's time to upgrade servers or decommission them. We can remove from impact set. We can also investigate events on these servers. So if we saw some type of statistics on Tomcat 2, or maybe there was something wrong, something happened with Tomcat 2, we can investigate the behavior of that server. So we can double click on the server to bring up server details with lots of useful information on its own. But we can come here to charts, and we can investigate specific behavior in the server. So here we can see traffic on the server, and we can click investigate timestamp and see exactly what caused that spike. The percentage increase in traffic, new connections added, any change in connection status, also users logged in, and any software changes that might have caused this. This gives you everything you need for a root cause analysis in one single place. Another great feature that Faddom offers with these application maps is to compare changes to your applications over time. So let's come into our web portal map, since we know there's been some changes to that one. We can see 12 changes detected since last save baseline. We can click show change summary and see exactly what was added, what was removed from this map, and when. We can also choose to apply these changes to baseline if we know these changes are correct once we validated them. And now we can compare these changes over time. So let's pick a date, a week back. And we can see down here, we have these timestamps. We also have the timestamp listed up here. And we can scroll through and see exactly what has changed in our application and when. This gives ownership of your application topology to your organization, not to any one individual. No longer do you need to rely on a colleague's memory or manually updated documentation to know what happened to your environment, what happened in your applications. This is all recorded in real time for you to review. We also show your dependencies from an application point of view, not just from a server point of view. So here we can see this is based on the folder structure that we have, and we can open this up and see exactly what applications are dependent on other applications. We can click on these connections to see that, our production application some of our production applications are dependent on our portal application. And we can see exactly what servers are communicating and what those dependencies are. Very helpful if we need to, say, take down our web portal application, we can know what other applications would be affected by that. Not only does Faddom show your server dependencies, we also show your subnet dependencies. Faddom will automatically detect your class A, B, and C subnets. You can then choose to organize them in subnet groups by whatever is best for you. Some people use geographic area or data center type. That's what we did here with your standard data center type. And you can drill down into the subnet groups to see what subnets are there, and even into the individual subnets themselves to see at the server level. This is wonderful for firewall validation, as Faddom has zero blind spots. Faddom sees all of the traffic in your environment. A firewall only sees what is connected to it. So Faddom can validate that the firewalls are blocking the traffic they're supposed to be blocking. For instance, we can see here there's a communication between our test subnets and our prod subnets. So we can click on that line and see exactly what servers are communicating, and highlighted showing this is a policy violation. You can set subnet traffic policies here. This is a whitelist, and any traffic outside this whitelist would be considered a policy violation. Again, this is great for firewall planning, as this can be exported. So we can export a list of all these connections for planning your subnet segmentation. Faddom has a very powerful inventory feature. This is like a lightweight CMDB. This is a list of all the IT assets in your environment. You can also click on any of these assets to bring up details of them. This is organized by your data sources. This also includes things like IP groups and load balancers. This is also, again, totally exportable, which is very helpful for IT documentation and audits. We can see your tier types here. This is where you can edit those tier types that we talked about. So you can change port numbers, add new tiers, and you can just see what are all my database servers? What are all my web servers? This is a huge time saver, especially for IT auditing and discovering of your environment. Faddom also has the option for software discovery. We never use agents in Faddom. Instead, we use for Linux servers an SSH connection, and for Windows and WMI queries. And we're able to catalog all the software operating in your environment, and also set software policies, whitelisting software, and then you'd be alerted to any unauthorized software. At the same time software discovery is running, Faddom also runs OS discovery, seeing all the operating systems currently in your environment and which ones might be end of life, end of service, and also a list of the servers that have these operating systems. Again, exportable, great for auditing and just getting an overall risk assessment of your environment. If you're using Active Directory, Faddom can also integrate with your Active Directory and get a record of your user activity. We can also see not only all of your users, we can see are there any inactive users, which could be a major security risk. People leave the organization and someone might know their password. And we can click on any of these users to get more information about their most visited servers. We can also click on user profile to get their full server login history and even a graphical map of their activity in the environment. And one great new little feature that we created, which is very useful, is the free IP addresses. Again, Faddom does not use any intrusive scanning. Instead, we just see your flow logs. We know all your IP addresses that are communicating, so we know the ones that aren't communicating. And we're able to find free IP addresses. We're just searching for 5 IP addresses in VLAN 3, and it shows these 5 IP addresses. We can make notes about these if we want to use them later, and we can ping test them just to be sure that they're open. IP likely available. Faddom also offers a wide range of security features, including a new one on microsegmentation. We can use your application maps to create microsegmentation policies and even directly push those policies into your microsegmentation tool. Here we can adjust the policy. If any changes have been detected, if this was an already made policy, we can show those changes and validate them. We can also add any dependencies that this might have to this policy. And then finally, we can save and apply this policy. Currently, Faddom has integration with Nutanix Flow and will automatically push this policy into Nutanix Flow, but integration with VMware NSX and other providers is coming very soon. A really great feature is the Shadow IT feature. This shows, since we can see all of the traffic, we can see servers that don't have any traffic and are therefore likely shadow IT. We give a probability that this server is likely shadow IT. We can also show you any vulnerabilities, since we have OS and software discovery and CVE discovery, and see exactly how vulnerable this server might be. This shadow IT is like a door to your house that you don't even know is there, and if it's not there, you're not locking. If you don't know it's there, you're not locking it. We can also see external traffic. So not only do we see the traffic in between your subnets, we also see traffic going in and out of your environment. So incoming and outgoing, and allow you to set traffic policies, either whitelisting all the traffic or blacklisting specific countries. And we kind of put all of the security information together into what we call our Faddom score. This is a proprietary score that we put together. You can always click on this score and see exactly what went into it. So along with CVE and OS, along with software and OS discovery, we're also doing CVE discovery at the same time through the same function. And we can see this server has a critical CVE. It also has an unauthorized piece of software, an end-of-life OS, an out-of-date SSL certificate, and an incoming external connection, making the server very likely to be at risk. This is a great screen for just getting a daily overview of all the risks in your environment, allowing you to be proactive in preventing any problems before they occur. Faddom also has a great migration feature for planning your migration. 90% of the work in migrating is in the planning. One server left behind is enough to break the business. So we start out here on a quick assessment screen showing them what I call lift and shift, moving your entire environment, in this case to AWS, but we could pick others. Generally, though, we are not moving an environment all at once. We like to do it in what we call migration waves. So we can give it a name and choose the platform. We can choose to migrate between on-prem, or let's pick AWS. We select members. We can select the applications that we want to move, or even specific servers, or specific subnets. But let's just pick our application that we just created. Here we can see a cost breakdown for the different cloud providers of what it would cost to move that application over, compute, storage, and network costs, which is somewhat unique to Faddom. As Faddom sees your traffic, we know what that will cost in the cloud for that type of network traffic. We can also show you the recommended optimized instance sizes for your VMs once they're moved. And most importantly, we can see your dependencies. This is a lot like we saw in the microsegmentation screen. It shows your dependencies going in and out of the application. So any external dependencies can be added to this migration wave. Also reminding you of your infrastructure dependencies, which would need to be, so you know the firewall rules need to be added. We've now been able to plan this migration wave. We have the things we want to migrate. We have the things that we need to migrate. This saves a lot of time and effort in planning the migration. We now know everything we need to do if we want to migrate over our test 123 application. And we also have some optimizing as well. We can optimize, right size your servers, both on-prem and in the cloud. And you think, all of this is great. This is a lot of wonderful features, but where do I get started? Well, you can always start with the Compass AI. If the search bar is your Google search, this is like your Chat GPT. You can ask it anything. When is the best time to take down Tomcat 1? So Faddom is totally secure when it comes to this AI chat. The only thing that leaves your environment is the prompt itself. Everything else stays in your environment. The prompt goes to an AI engine, which translates that into a basic SQL query, which it sends back to Faddom and gives you results of when the best time to take down your server might be. You can ask it any type of contextual question about your environment and get any information you need. A really excellent feature for saving a lot of time. So that brings us back to our dashboard. I think now this might make a little more sense. Our subnet dependencies, changes in our application maps, list of our data sources, operational events or things like failed connections, and our software status. So thank you so much for watching this video, and happy mapping.